Political analysts predict Kemp to defeat former senator in the GOP primary. That person who wins that will go on to face Stacey Abrams in the general as she runs unopposed. Joining us to discuss is distinguished senior fellow for constitutional studies at the Texas Public Policy Foundation, also a host, Carol Swain. Carol, good to see you, and thanks so much for coming on to chit-chat, if you will, about Georgia here. I want to talk to you, if I can, about voter laws. I know you've been critical of the left, saying voter laws in Georgia would cause voter suppression. And I'll show you these headlines and then get your reaction here. Contrasting headlines, mind you, from the Washington Post. So here's the first one. Voting is surging in Georgia despite controversial new election law, end quote. And it also goes on to say record-breaking turnout is undercutting predictions that the Georgia Election Integrity Act of 2021 would lead to a fall off in voting. By the end of Friday, nearly 800,000 Georgians had cast ballots, more than 3 times the number in 2018, even higher than 2020, presidential year. And back in 2021, the paper told a different story, saying this: a scorching reply to Georgia's vile new voting law unmasks a big GOP lie. There it is at the top of your screen. Then go to the bottom. It says this: Georgia Republicans just passed a far-reaching voter suppression law that is shockingly blatant in its efforts to restrict voting, end quote, on that. Do you see any voter suppression happening there by factual basis, Carol, in the state of Georgia?
Absolutely not. And the success of the Georgia law means that states across the nation need to pass their own voter integrity laws. And the turnout, is both political parties. And there's some crossover voting, Democrats voting in the Republican primary. A lot of times we don't like that, but I think they're voting in the Republican primary this time because the only candidates worth voting for are the ones that are running as Republicans.
Do you think Governor Kemp will hold on to his position? The former Senator Perdue has Trump's backing, but many political pundits point to Governor Kemp keeping his position. Do you think that would happen?
It looks like he's going to keep his position. And I think that with the information that's come out about election irregularities, that Governor Kemp, maybe he made some mistakes. But Americans are very forgiving. And I think that Republicans are going to win, and they're going to sweep during the midterms, and we should be encouraged. And that voters from both political parties know that we need a change. And I'm hoping that Democrats, because they have used power so badly, that they will not have the majority again for the next 40 or 50 years. By then, Republicans will have taken their power for granted to the point that they probably will be horrible by then. But whatever happens, I think the American people will win.
Dr. Swain, let me ask you about this. Let's go to the other side and take a peek at that if we can. Democratic gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, second time running here. She is one of those that has loudly pushed voter suppression and that theory. And then she was at this function where she made these comments about the state of Georgia, the one that she wants to run. Listen to this.
I am tired of hearing about being the best state in the country to do business when we are the worst state in the country to live.
Hard to hear, but she calls the state that she wants to lead the worst state in the country. I will be fair. She goes on to give reason. She cites mental health and incarceration rates there in Georgia. I'm not sure she thought that what she said might get public attention. Despite your point, do you agree? Is this a great campaign strategy to say, hey, this is the worst state to live in?
I think that the people should look at her finances and how she's become a very wealthy woman since she lost the election. And I think that the Democrats, they always push the same false narrative. The American people, blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians, we're getting tired of the lies. And I think people are seeing through that. And this false narrative that the Democrats have been pushing about voter suppression and about discrimination, I think that it's wearing thin on people. People want to be safe. They're concerned about crime. They're concerned about inflation. They're concerned about just trying to make a living in America, and that's everyone. No one wants to be in a situation where you're just struggling to survive and you're being victimized by crime. That affects Black people more than any other group. And there's a correlation between committing crime and incarceration rates.
All right, we'll leave it right there. Dr. Carol Swain joining us live on the program. Doctor, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate that.